Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the AM report for Happs News, the network of now. I'm Alex Mahajer. It is Tuesday, February 2nd, and this morning we're discussing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's bombshell Instagram live video last night, where she opened up about her own history with sexual assault and compared the tactics of the Republican Party to those of abusers. A really poignant 85-minute Instagram live video. We're going to cover that and talk about her experience at the Capitol insurrection. We're going to cover some of today's top headlines and some of Joe Biden's boss moves ahead of this impeachment trial that's going to take all the oxygen out of the room coming up in just a few days in the Senate. All of this and more this morning on the AM Report. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. I'm Alex Mahajer. If you're watching on Happs, the Happs app, website, or platform, click the award button. Let us know you're enjoying it. Or if you're watching on YouTube, Reddit, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking this morning as we go into this Tuesday morning about some of these top headlines and just where you're watching from. Let me know. We just saw Lucia Ibar, good morning from Santo Domingo. Good morning, everybody who's leaving comments and chiming in. It's good to see you all this morning, and it's always nice to see people from all over the country and the globe joining the program. So leave a comment. Let me know how you're feeling this morning and what you're thinking as we go into some of today's top headlines, and let's jump right into it. This morning, Biden's boss moves continued. Joe Biden expected to pass or sign rather a new trio of executive orders today that undo Trump's more draconian policies about immigration. He's going to primarily establish a task force designed to reunite families separated at the U.S.-Mexico border. This trio of executive orders is also going to provide support to Central America to curb the flow of migrants to the U.S.-Mexico border and provide other pathways to migrate to the U.S. without journeying north. As we know, Joe Biden early on in his administration, we're still early on, but on his first couple of days, he signed an executive order that reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to the DACA Dreamers program, which provides a path to citizenship for people who are born in another country but come here at a very young age and are here through no fault of their own. The administration also is planning to provide aid to Central American regions to support initiatives that combat corruption in Central America and revive the Central American Minors Program, which is, and Trump ended it, but basically it allows certain at-risk youths to live in the United States, according to a senior administration official. And then they're also going to review the Trump policies that require non-Mexican migrants to stay in Mexico until their immigration court dates in the U.S. These were called the Remain in Mexico program. That's also going to be reviewed and potentially ended. But big news, we're going to be dedicating federal resources to reuniting children with their parents, those children who were separated at the border. Very controversial Trump era actions that took place, and glad to see that Joe Biden is taking substantive steps to clear that up. The Senate continues its confirmation hearings of Joe Biden's cabinet appointments. Alexander Mayorkas is expected to be confirmed today as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and Pete Buttigieg is expected to be confirmed as the Transportation Secretary today as well. Interesting to note that Senator Lindsey Graham is holding up the confirmation vote of Attorney General Merrick Garland. Very, very interesting now. But Biden met with GOP senators regarding a stimulus, the COVID-19 stimulus, and the White House reaffirmed after the meeting that they are committed to $1,400 stimulus checks And Speaker Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer are moving forward with budget reconciliation this week, which would evade the Senate's 60 vote requirement. So basically, these senators met with Biden yesterday at the White House. They had over a 2-hour meeting. And the point of the meeting was to say, we don't want to pass a $1.9 trillion stimulus package, and we don't think people should be getting $1,400 stimulus checks. They think that the number should be more around $600 billion. And apparently it was a good substantive meeting. It was 2 hours long. Afterwards, Senator Collins spoke publicly. She said the meeting was, quote, excellent. And but the White House released a statement afterwards reaffirming their position that they are interested in $1,400 stimulus checks that will take us to the $2,000 that was promised over the winter. And that they're probably going to move forward with budget reconciliation because they're not worried that the number 1.9 trillion is too high. They're worried that it's too small. And that's the sort of the resounding agreement of most economists and people who have studied the economic impact of this pandemic, who believe that we need serious relief and we need it very quickly. So he's interested in moving forward very, very quickly. The Senate under Chuck Schumer and the House under Nancy Pelosi are moving forward with reconciliation, a budget reconciliation bill, which would allow them to move forward the $1.9 trillion stimulus package without 60 votes in the Senate. It would just be a simple majority in the Senate. And as we know, Kamala Harris, who is the vice president, is the new tie-breaking vote in the Senate. So if it's a 50-50 split on Biden's $1.9 trillion budget proposal for the stimulus, COVID-19 stimulus, then Kamala Harris swoops right in, casts her tie-breaking vote, and calls it a day. So in Senate news, Senate Minority Leader, God, it feels good to say that, Mitch McConnell is blasting the QAnon conspiracy theorist Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. So he released a statement yesterday calling Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a freshman QAnon conspiracy theorist in the House of Representatives, calling her insane views a, quote, cancer on the Republican Party. This is a really, really rare repudiation by the GOP and by the GOP leader of people of his own party. It doesn't really happen. Democrats are getting ready to strip her of her committee assignments and hold her accountable for her dangerous social media posts where she has liked posts calling for the execution of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She has claimed that California wildfires were due to Jewish space lasers, that the Democrats are a Satan-worshiping cabal of pedophiles, really insightful language that seems to incite her supporters to the insurrection that happened January 6th. So we're seeing some repudiation from the Senate Minority Leader, and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is set to have a, quote, conversation with her. We're not sure what this conversation will entail, but she is publicly not apologizing for her comments. She's also said Parkland and Sandy Hook were fake, and those were tragedies where children were slaughtered. But that's Marjorie Taylor Greene for you, MTG. We'll see what happens with that. And finally, speaking of the Capitol insurrection, sort of the top news story for me for today is this Instagram live video that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez posted to her Instagram last night, just maybe, we're talking maybe 12 hours ago. She's the youngest woman to ever elected to Congress, and she's quite young. And she opened up in an Instagram live video last night, pretty emotional Instagram live last night, revealing she's the survivor of sexual assault, and that she felt like the need to talk about this now publicly because of what happened at the Capitol, the Capitol insurrection, and the GOP's tactics for trying to get us all to move on from what happened at the Capitol. She is saying we have all undergone a trauma. She was speaking for herself, made sure to adjust her statements a lot, to redirect the conversation to only be speaking for herself, and said, I've been through a trauma and I know what trauma feels like, and anyone who has been the survivor of trauma understands what trauma feels like, and I understand what tactics abusers use to get you to move on so that they can just do it again. And we have a clip. This is Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I want to play this for you guys and get your thoughts on it. Here she is last night on an Instagram Live.
The reason I say this and the reason I'm getting emotional in this moment is because these folks who tell us to move on, that it's not a big deal, that we should forget what's happened, or even telling us to apologize, these are the same tactics of abusers. And I'm a survivor of sexual assault. And I haven't told many people that in my life. But when we go through trauma compounds on each other. And so whether you had a negligent or, a neglectful parent, or whether you had someone who was verbally abusive to you, whether you are a survivor of abuse, whether you experience any sort of trauma in your life, small to large, these episodes can compound on one another. There's no, something really big happening to you, and then you deal with it, and then you move on, and then when something else happens to you, you deal with that, and then you move on. All of our experiences make us who we are. And that's also to say that most people live with trauma. And it's not and that doesn't even diminish, any of the trauma that any one of us may have been through. But it is to say that there is a community of so many people who can understand. So when I see a party who cheered on violence that killed 5, maybe now 6 people. A second Capitol police officer took their life in the aftermath of the attack this past week. When we are still losing people, when we don't know how many people are going to develop PTSD after what happened, when we don't know how many people are still hospitalized. I mean, there are people who, sure, they may not have passed away, but they lost fingers, they lost eyes. And these people are just trying to tell us it's not a big deal. And they're trying to say, you're making too big a deal over it. Or, my favorite, this past week, Ted Cruz and now Representatives Chip Roy, and by the way, some of the other representatives who actually encouraged people to threaten members of Congress or tweeted out the location of the speaker are now telling me to apologize for saying and speaking truth to what happened. These are the tactics of abusers, or rather, these are the tactics that abusers use. And so when I see this happen, how I feel and how I felt was not again. I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm not going to let it happen to me again. I'm not going to let it happen to the other people who've been victimized by this situation again. And I'm not going to let this happen to our country. Ever. I'm not going to let it happen.
That's Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in a really moving Instagram Live video last night, talking about her own history with sexual assault, as well as the GOP tactics that have been used to sort of apologize and sweep this Capitol insurrection under the rug, saying that it's the same tactics that abusers use, even in some instances asking her to apologize for her own views that have made people angry and have given them reason to protest or riot at the Capitol. This is live. Commenter asking, is this live? It is sure live. So hello, good to see you. Another commenter saying Mitch McConnell is only saying that about Marjorie Taylor Greene to please moderate Republicans. Maybe so. I'm not exactly sure, but it is very rare for him to rebuke a member of his own party. So either way, it is very good to see. And someone says this is a shitty newscast out of someone's kitchen, and yet I've got 370,000 subscribers. In any case, thank you for joining the AM Report this morning for Happs News, the network of Now. We are live every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, with all of your quick political news and headlines. To get your day started right, if you like this journalism, if you like this content, please join those 370,000 subscribers. You can do that at happs.tv/@Alex. Or you can become a recurring monthly sponsor of the program, and or just leave us an award. Let us know you're enjoying the program. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Thank you all for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.